Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Laos for the ASEAN India and East Asia summits. India's central bank keeps repo rate unchanged at 6.5% for a 10th time in a row. Reserve Bank of India's governor says share of investment in GDP reaches its highest level since 2012. And in cricket, India to play Bangladesh in the second T20 match in New Delhi. Its women's team to take on Sri Lanka in the ICC T20 World Cup in Dubai. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be travelling to Laos on the 10th of October at the invitation of his Laotian counterpart. Modi will be on a two-day visit for attending the 21st ASEAN-India Summit and the 19th East Asia Summit. The ASEAN-India Summit will review the progress of India's comprehensive strategic partnership with ASEAN and chart a future direction of cooperation. The East Asia Summit is a forum that contributes to building an environment of strategic trust in the region. India is marking a decade of its Act East policy. Relations with ASEAN are a central pillar of its Act East policy and its vision of the Indo-Pacific.
The Prime Minister will be travelling to Vientiane in Laos PDR for the 21st ASEAN-India Summit and the 19th East Asia Summit. At the invitation of His Excellency Prime Minister Sifandon of Laos PDR, the visit will be over 10th and 11th of October. The significance of this particular summit will be that it is the 10th anniversary of Prime Minister's Act East policy. Prime Minister will, along with other heads of state and government of ASEAN countries, review the progress in the relations between India and ASEAN over this time, and they will chart the future direction of our relationship.
Meanwhile, Southeast Asian leaders have arrived in Vientiane for the 44th ASEAN Summit that began on Wednesday. Southeast Asian leaders were welcomed by the Prime Minister of Laos upon their arrival. The summit will see top ASEAN leaders discuss issues such as Myanmar's civil war and the South China Sea tensions. In his opening remarks, the Prime Minister of Laos spoke about ways to tackle ongoing conflicts and other challenges facing the group.
ASEAN will continue to expand the path towards the ASEAN 2025 document that will support the build-up of the ASEAN Community Vision 2045 in order to build a stronger and resilient community for a stronger economy and increase connectivity with each other. It would also make us strong and more capable to deal with various future challenges amid the fluctuating and complex geopolitical and geo-economic climate.
And staying in the Indo-Pacific, Japan's Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru dissolved the country's lower house of parliament on Wednesday ahead of a snap election on the 27th of this month. Ishiba's Liberal Democratic Party has governed Japan almost uninterrupted for decades and is almost certain to be re-elected. Ishiba replaced Kishida Fumio as the leader of the party earlier this month, whose government had suffered from record low approval ratings because of slush fund scandals that stoked public distrust in the LDP and voter discontent over rising prices. Shifting focus to the Korean Peninsula, where North Korea's army has said it will completely cut off roads and railways connected to South Korea starting from Wednesday. With the announcement, the military said it will fortify the areas on its side of the border. The announcement heralds a further escalation in activity close to the demarcation line that separates the two Koreas, which had been rare in recent years until this year. However, Pyongyang says this was a response to war exercises that have been held in South Korea, as well as frequent visits by U.S. strategic nuclear assets in the region. Seoul says North Korea had already been installing landmines and barriers and creating wasteland along the heavily militarized border for months this year. Moving to West Asia now, the Israel-Hamas conflict is not over yet, but the conflict between Israel and the Hezbollah has brought West Asia to the brink. On Tuesday, UN Chief Antonio Guterres made a strong appeal for an immediate ceasefire in both Gaza and Lebanon during a press conference at the UN headquarters in New York City.
We cannot and will not give up on our calls for an immediate ceasefire both in Gaza and Lebanon, the immediate and unconditional release of hostages, and the immediate life-saving aid to all those who desperately need it.
Urging the people of Lebanon to oust the Hezbollah in an address directed at them, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that this could help Lebanon avoid destruction and suffering like we see in Gaza.
You have an opportunity that hasn't existed in decades. An opportunity to take care of the future of your children and grandchildren. You have an opportunity to save Lebanon before it falls into the abyss of a long war that will lead to destruction and suffering like we see in Gaza.
In a bid to save their nationals from the raging Israel-Hezbollah conflict, countries are leading massive evacuations from Lebanon. On Tuesday, 67 Chilean citizens and their families, along with Peruvian and Argentine citizens who were evacuated, landed in Chile. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Hezbollah targeted Israeli soldiers near the Lebanese border village of Labune with artillery shells and rockets on Wednesday. And speaking on the recent Israeli strikes on Hezbollah infrastructure, Israel's military spokesperson said on Tuesday that 50 Hezbollah operatives have been killed.
Until now, we can confirm that in the strikes, more than 50 terrorists, among them are 6 senior commanders. This is a moral strike, operational and hard for the Hezbollah terrorists.
In a stabbing attack in the Israeli city of Hadera, at least 6 people were wounded, 2 of them seriously. According to Israeli authorities, the terrorist has been neutralized. Until now, the country's police has not provided any other details. Israel has been on high security alert since the Hamas assault a year ago sparked the war in Gaza. Right now, take a look at what else is making news around the world. Ecuador has declared a 60-day state of emergency because of rising armed violence and internal disturbances, imposing curfews and travel restrictions. The news comes after 5 people were killed on the outskirts of Ecuador's coastal city of Guayaquil a day earlier. Justice Alexandra de Moraes of the Brazilian Supreme Court has authorized the reinstatement of the social media platform X in the country. The decision came after the company complied with court rulings leading to the restoration of its services. And in France, the increasing cases of cable theft are causing disruptions in rail traffic all over the country. One of the main stations, Zille Flandres, is virtually deserted due to regional rail traffic being severely impacted following the theft of cables near Lille, causing inconvenience to passengers and travelers alike. Scientists David Baker, Demis Hassabis and John Jumper jointly won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for 2024. Baker was chosen for his work on computational protein design, Well, Hassabis and Jumper were recognized for their work on protein structure prediction. Awarded by the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences, the prize contains worth 11 million Swedish crowns, that is $1.1 million, and follows awards for medicine and physics. The Nobel Awards were first given out in 1901 and are deemed to be one of the most prestigious awards in the field of science. Europe has unveiled a new independent regulatory body that will resolve disputes between users and social media platforms. The Dublin-based Appeals Centre was born out of the EU's mission to rebalance the scales of power when it comes to big tech and the public. Right, DW's Emily Leshner now joins us from Berlin. Emily, tell us about this regulatory body. What types of disputes is it going to review?
Hi. Well, at the center of this appeal center is what the European Commission has designated as very large online platforms. These are online platforms or search engines that have a threshold of at least 45 million active users per month. And the appeal center is going to be responsible for reviewing and helping resolve appeals brought by European users against these types of social media companies when those users, or when the companies, say that the users have violated policy guidelines. So, for example, if you post something on your YouTube account and the post or maybe even your entire account is taken down for what Meta says is a content violation policy. Right now, especially if you're, a regular user and not someone with a big online profile, there isn't much recourse. You can make an official complaint, but the process is pretty opaque, or you could go the legal route, which is costly and time consuming. So this is a way for the European Commission to try to give some agency back to the user, and the user through this body can appeal a decision made by a powerful social media company. And the appeals center will be made up of a human team of experts, or a team of human experts that will decide cases that relate to, at the moment, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, just to start. And the plan is that more social media platforms will be added to the process later. And the team of experts will have 90 days to review each case and decide whether or not the decision that was made by the social media platform was consistent with their own policies. And the appeal center will be physically located in Dublin, where many of these tech companies have European headquarters.
Now, Emily, help our viewers understand something here. One, why is this happening in Europe? Are we likely to see social media appeals centers pop up in other parts of the world? And two, who's going to pay for this?
Well, the EU is unique in that it really sees itself as having an active role in protecting users from these companies that are running, powerful online platforms. And that's why it passed the EU Digital Service Act a few years ago. And that aims to force some of these large online companies to tackle illegal content or face fines of up to 6% of their global turnover. And the EU has already used this legislation to probe Facebook and Instagram for failing to tackle election-related disinformation, for example. And so establishing a dispute resolution mechanism or court like this one is kind of part of the process to make the law fully operational. So we might see appeal centers pop up in other places, but I think first we'll have to see legislation that aims to better protect users kind of appear on the national agenda first. And in terms of who's paying for it, it's a very good question. So to get it off the ground, it's being funded by a one-time 130 million euro grant by the Oversight Board of Meta. This is the company that owns Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp. And the plan is that it will continue to be funded through fees that are charged for each case. So users who bring a dispute to the appeal center will have to pay a fee of €5, and they'll be refunded if the decision is in their favor. Social media companies will pay around €100 for each case. And so, it may raise some eyebrows that Meta is providing the initial additional funding for this independent appeal center, but the appeal center does have the power to overrule the company on content moderation decisions, and Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg has promised to abide by their rulings, whatever they are, even if they're in disagreement with a decision Meta has made.
All right, we'll leave it there, Emily. Thank you. Emily Lesh reporting there from Berlin. And still to come on DD India Live. An expert take on the role of private sector in India's military operations. And we give you a grand tour of the Vishweshwaraya Industrial and Technological Museum in Bengaluru.
Extreme weather events are going to get more frequent and intense. What can we do? Here are some ideas.
In each of the grid, we installed rain gauges, and we identified local people from the villages, and these people were given training how to measure rainfall. And every day, these farmers used to give rainfall data into a WhatsApp group that we had created called Wayanad Weather Forecast.
Sweden started very early to cut out fossil fuels from our energy mix. So that also shows that big, bold changes are possible.
There are 5 to 6 families who have joined us on this journey towards self-sufficiency. We also exchange products and goods.
If we use cork instead of these materials, which are not renewable, cork is, we are decreasing several orders of magnitude.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. India's President Draupadi Murmu will be on an official visit to 3 African countries, Algeria, Mauritania and Malawi. The visit comes at a time when African Union has become a part of the G20, and both India and the African Union are working closely together to drive the agenda of development globally. The President will arrive in Algeria on the 13th of October.
Of President of People's Democratic Republic of Algeria, His Excellency Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, Honorable Rashtrapati Ji will be undertaking a state visit to Algeria from 13 to 15 October 2024. This will be the first ever visit by the President of India to Algeria, and a visit at the level of head of state or head of government after 39 years.
We will arrive in Mauritania on the 16th of October in the morning, and this is the first Indian leader at that highest level to visit Mauritania since it won its independence in 1960, and it is also happening at a time when Mauritania is currently holding the chairship of the African Union. Honorable Rashtrapati Ji will travel to Malawi, and she will land on the 17th morning in Malawi. She will be welcomed by the President, Dr. Lazarus Makati Chakwera, and she will have a very close tete-a-tete meeting, and the program indicates there will be delegation level talks. There will be a business event which Honorable President will address. She will also address the Indian diaspora, and there will be 3 MOUs will be signed in youth affairs, cooperation youth affairs, sports and cultural exchange program.
India's global influence continues to rise, as seen in its strong partnership with Germany. On the sidelines of the Hamburg Sustainability Summit, Germany's Vice-Chancellor Dr. Robert Habeck warmly welcomed India's Minister Prahlad Joshi, underscoring the growing collaboration between the 2 nations in renewable energy and sustainable development.
Germany and India share a relationship grounded in trusted values and mutual respect. The spirit of partnership was on full display as Germany's Vice-Chancellor Dr. Robert Habeck warmly welcomed India's Union Minister Prahlad Joshi on the sidelines of Hamburg Sustainability Summit in Germany, a gesture underscoring the importance of their growing ties. Dr. Habeck, effectively Germany's number 2 after Chancellor Olaf Scholz, went above and beyond in hosting India's Union Minister for New and Renewable Energy Prahlad Joshi. In a rare diplomatic gesture, Habeck personally greeted Minister Joshi at the entrance of the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action, showcasing his commitment to the partnership. A special guided tour of the ministry followed, highlighting Germany's dedication to strengthening ties with India. In return, Minister Joshi gifted a hand-carved sandalwood elephant, symbolizing India's rich cultural heritage. The leaders held a crucial bilateral meeting focusing on advancing cooperation in renewable energy. Dr. Habeck lauded India's impressive strides in renewable energy over the last decade, praising its ambitious mission 500 gigawatt. The discussions marked a pivotal moment in the deepening of energy ties between these two global players. The meeting also delved into emerging opportunities in green hydrogen, offshore wind, biogas and solar waste recycling. Dr. Habeck expressed his confidence that India, with its visionary green energy policies, will soon become a key source of green hydrogen for Germany, further solidifying its global leadership in sustainable energy. The growing mutual respect between Germany and India was evident in the genuine warmth and camaraderie displayed by both leaders, symbolizing the rise of India's soft power and its increasing influence on the global stage. Tapas Bhattacharya's report for DD India.
The Reserve Bank of India on Wednesday kept the repo rate unchanged at 6.5% for a 10th time in a row. The Monetary Policy Committee also decided to change the monetary policy stance to neutral and to remain unambiguously focused on a durable alignment of inflation with the target while supporting growth.
After assessing the evolving macroeconomic and financial conditions and the outlook, the MPC decided by a majority of 5 out of 6 members to keep the policy repo rate unchanged at 6.5%. Consequently, the standing deposit facility, that is the SDF rate, remains at 6.25%, and the marginal standing facility, that is the MSF rate and the bank rate, they stand at 6.75%.
The role of private sector is increasing in military operations in India, and the focus is on electric mobility. The Confederation of Indian Industry, along with the Defence Institute of Quality Assurance, organized a seminar in New Delhi. DD India's Vishal Barrister caught up with the Director General of Quality Assurance in Defence. Take a listen.
Electric mobility is the future of military operations, and to talk more on this subject, I have with me the Director General of Quality Assurance. Let's talk to him and find out, how do you see the future of electric vehicles in military operations?
In electrical vehicle technology of the future, as far as the military technologies are concerned, so conventional electrical technology which is in the private sector today, so that has got a certain limitations on the ruggedness for the military use.
When we talk about the electric mobility, so what kind of level are you looking at? Is it only for the vehicles only, and why is it required?
Yeah, mobility in the sense we have a mobility platform today. The military technology is already coming up, not only on just on the vehicles, the drones. So drones are playing a very vital role in the mobility. They not only the drones systems are going to be a personal mobility as well as the weapon mobility and the weapon utilization. So this much of extent that the drones have been already come up, and the various private industries in the form of excellence on the Indian defense industries, they have already participated. So these kind of things will be the future for the warfare, where without man, we using the electrical vehicle technologies and in the drones, things can be executed. In addition, the electrical vehicle technology is also coming up in the various gun systems also.
Oh, there you heard the DGQA. Yes, indeed, the electric mobility is the future of military operations, and private sector has to play a major role. With cameraman Aniket in Delhi, this is Vishal Barrister for DD India.
Established in 1962, the Vishweshwaraya Industrial and Technological Museum in Bengaluru is India's second science museum. Among its exhibits are 100-year-old steam engines to replicas of a spacecraft. Anu Kaushik reports.
industrial products, steam engines to exhibitions on aviation. This is the Vishweshwaraya Industrial and Technological Museum in the South Indian city of Bengaluru. Established in 1962, it is India's second science museum after the Birla Industrial and Technological Museum in Kolkata. It was named after M. Vishweshwaraya, who is considered the father of engineering in India. At the museum, a replica of India's lunar mission Chandrayaan-3 has been enthralling visitors. It is the first spacecraft to land on the moon's south pole.
Indian Space Research Organization motivated me a lot to come here. Opened my mind more. It's a start. Let's see in future. Let me also contribute in some way.
A replica of Wright brothers' first plane is also among the museum's prized possessions. The place has over 10 exhibition halls dedicated to electricity, space, and major technological innovations.
The exhibits here are amazing. There's also the IBM computer system. Back then, the systems used to be huge.
That's not all. With the motto to make science fun, the museum has also installed a dummy of a dinosaur, which is quite a reach, especially among kids. It also has souvenir shops where visitors can get experiment kits. In a year, the museum hosts over 1 million visitors of all ages. As India continues to make strides in space and technology, the museum plays a role in increasing public interest in science as well as in encouraging people to pursue a career in the field.
From the replica of Wright brothers' first plane to Chandrayaan-3's model, this museum lets you witness how science evolved. It also gives you a sneak peek into working of daily use items like a ballpoint pen. Anu Kaushik's report for DD India.
In sports news, India is all set to take on Bangladesh in the second T20 match in New Delhi. The hosts crushed the visitors in the opening game to take a 1-0 lead in the 3-match series. India will face Sri Lanka in their third match of Group A in Women's T20 World Cup on Wednesday in Dubai. The Harmanpreet Kaur-led side had a shaky start to their campaign with a 58-run loss to New Zealand in the opening game. However, Indian women's team got their campaign back on track with a 6-wicket win over arch-rival Pakistan. It's a season of festivals in India. The northeastern state of Assam begins Durga Puja celebrations. It's a festival that celebrates the triumph of good over evil. Devotees gather to welcome Goddess Durga, setting a vibrant atmosphere filled with the rhythmic beats of traditional drums. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India Live. You can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download it. And let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.